Well, Dr. Anwar, you're speaking with me today means a great deal to me. I have been at West Texas A&M for, I believe it's 5 years. And since I've been here, I have heard about your legacy. I hear about your teaching and your background, and for you to generously share your time, not only with me, but to help my students, it really means a great deal to me. And so I am very excited to learn from you along with my students.
Well, thanks so much for inviting me here. I'm
Thank
honored.
you. Thank you. And I would first like to know, could you share a little bit about your background and what brought you to the United States?
Yes, originally I'm from Pakistan. I came to the United States at the age of 26, 27. I landed in San Diego. I took a Pan Am flight, Pan American Airways from Karachi and Paris. And so that was my first time. So this is 1980. I came to this country when Pink Floyd was still singing. I landed in my bell-bottoms and long hairs. And so, but San Diego came out to be my first hometown, and I stayed there for 6 years. Excellent experience. San Diego, every day was spring break, and it was very difficult to study over there. But overall, I was given a job. I became a resident director of a complex. And as I just mentioned, we were discussing, we had 150 students, and they were from 60 different countries. So you can imagine, I managed that complex for 4 years, and it was an amazing experience. So this is how I ended up, having a feeling for cultures and different kind of international business courses I took. And then WT was my first job, 1987, and I'm still here. And so, I mean, we have come a long way. WT came out to be a very good spot, and I was advised to work hard and to do research and write, and also do a good teaching and get involved in the community. And this is where I think that is one of the magic formulas of my success. My advisor told me that make sure don't stay in your room. You need to become a member of Chamber of Commerce, get involved, do seminars. And I think after all these years, I'm still doing the same. So to me, it is like a never-ending marathon.
Of learning, and you're choosing to engage in others.
Yes.
You know, I'm interested when you said you're managing over 60 cultures. I think you said, is there a story or something interesting from that experience that you might share?
A lot of stories. We had people from Micronesia, we have people from South America, we have people from Europe, and they all have different perceptions, and this is where cultures come in. Some of the students in the middle of the night, they had a big party, so they broke all my windows. Oh. And many times I had to call police. But we had amazing, learning is never ending. And I learned from those cultures so much. We saw so many things where people, you had to advise them, you have to counsel them, you have to help them. They are away from their home. So, I mean, I was like a counselor, I was like a friend, but I had two resident assistants working for me. So I was not alone in that complex, but it was a busy complex. And in those days, quality of life was good. Still, it's very good, but we enjoyed it. We went to school, we worked hard, but we also had good fun over there.
Do you think everyone living in proximity, did that help? Did it bring up conflict, or did it help bring about understanding?
I think understanding. Because when I came to San Diego, Iranian crisis was going on. So here we have to deal with this thing, because if we ever go, in those days when we used to go to Tijuana, Mexico, they thought I was from Mexico. If I talked to Iranian students, they thought I was from Iran. And if I talked to, of course, other cultures, so I could fit in anywhere. But not too much conflict, but mostly it was a small campus. We had 3,000 students. It was graduate school. And we had lots of activities. And of course, San Diego is also a very big town.
Yes.
And so that was another added factor. But when I came to Canyon, Texas, the first thing came to my mind is, when I looked around 15,000 people, then it was like, beam me up, Scotty.
You felt like you wanted to leave?
Yeah, because I wanted to leave within few months, and I thought it was such a small town. But then I met my wife, and then she's a professor here in WT, and here we are. We are still here, and she's very productive in her discipline, and I'm also still doing all the things what I've been doing over these years.
Well, you mentioned you came from San Diego to Canyon, and you talked about leading just this multi-dimensional, multicultural building, right, of residency. Then you come to Canyon. Did you find any of those skills helped
Yes,
you adjust
absolutely.
in Canyon? A small
They asked me to start international business program. So that was a beautiful foundation. So I started the program, and it took us 6-7 years to establish, and then I ended up going to all the meetings, Academy of International Business, SWAFED, now it is called FBD, Federation of Business Discipline, Academy of Marketing Science, American Marketing Association. I mean, in those days, and still, WT, they will send you to all kinds of places. Why? Because they want you to be successful. If you are active and working hard, then there's a lot of support from our university. So I used some of the skills here. I developed the program, and I got involved in all the association, and it's still doing very well.
So even in a small town, we can be global.
Yes. I will tell you one example. In the early 1980s, we created an organization called Panhandle International Business Forum. And I had all the people from Amarillo. And we had like 30, 40 different cultures, all the people retired working. And that organization, we used to bring ambassadors. We used to bring consul journals from Houston, Los Angeles, Dallas, even New York, but with the help of Amarillo International Club. So these kind of activities, it's not an effort of one person. It is not possible. It's a collective effort. So we involved Amarillo College, Amarillo Public Library, Amarillo Chamber of Commerce, and they used to bring those big dignitaries to WT, and I used to do a special luncheon here. And so College of Business was involved. So there are ways where you can, have all these skills and all these activities integrated into your discipline. And those people, some of them have passed away. Some of them have retired. But we created our own things, and we are doing seminars. Like in the last 2 weeks, we had 2 speakers, and Multimedia helped me, and we made their videos. So it's all up to you. If you want to reach out, shake hand, be nice, respect people, people are here to help you. And that's the magic I'm still using, and I benchmark many people, and so it's still doing very well. But we do that for our students.
Yes.
And this is a way to compete head to head with other universities. We may be in a small town, like 15,000, and we are now over 10,000, but I started here, it was 5,000. And so WT has come a long way, and hopefully it will continue.
I see that same thing. We are growing and becoming stronger. But what I see, I've taught in a lot of places. What I see at WT more than anything else is, if you will ask, if you tell us what your goals are, even being international, global business professional, we can support you into those roles. And that's what you're describing, is this plethora of opportunities that you've created by building a network. When you talked about that, you said, you're creating these global opportunities, and you were saying with Amarillo College, with people who are working, with not working. Is networking part of this ability to have cultural intelligence, to go beyond yourself, this networking?
Absolutely. Behind cultural intelligence, it's all networking. It is individuals' ability to go somewhere and make adjustments and adapt and work and live efficiently and effectively. So that's where cultural intelligence comes in. It is an extension of cross-cultural issues, but understanding other cultures. But companies use this cultural intelligence so that their employees, expatriates, are successful. Interestingly, the failure rate is 40%. And most of the expatriates come back because of their families, because they cannot adjust, they cannot adapt. So if you are good by seeking few strategies which can help you work effectively, then it can be very useful. There are so many companies like IBM. IBM has tens of thousands of people overseas. I was looking at the data today. Walmart has 800,000 people in other countries, and 80,000. And then Apple has 10,000 people only in China. There are direct flights between San Francisco to China, some of the Chinese countries, Chinese cities. And interestingly, there is a company called Honhai. It is from Taiwan. It is like close to $100 billion. And their name in China is called Foxconn. And they have 38 factories. And what do? They make Apple products in China. I'm talking about iPhone, I'm talking about iPad, Mac. So all these are coming from China. It is done by Foxconn. And Apple has thousands of people, but it's outsourcing. So for that, if you want to be effective, you have to have the knowledge, cultural intelligence, but in a positive way. And there are a lot of things going on in the world where we only dwell on, bad things or weak things, but there are a lot of good things happening, and I think our students need to be familiar. If you look at Procter & Gamble, if you look at Nestle, if you look at Unilever, IBM, Apple, Ford, Tesla, all these companies, they are capitalizing. So if you have thousands of people, you have to train them so that if you send somebody to Japan or England, it's $100,000 cost because you have to move their family.
Yes.
You have to find them the house. You have to go to school. They have to kids go to school. So if they fail and they come back because they could not adjust or adapt, then it's a very big loss for the company. So this is where cultural intelligence should start from the classroom. And people need to know how to interact effectively. And patience is one of the most important things. We live in this country. I'm here since 1980. In WT, I'm here since 1987. This is my 35th year, 34th. And we still, once in a while, make mistakes. Culture never stops. The learning process, it is not inherited. You have to learn. I mean, when I landed in Canyon, Texas, I did not know what chicken fried steak was. So they told me that, Anwar, it's not chicken. And so these are the issues which gradually we came to know. But it's time consuming. And in those days, I remember cultural intelligence, if you apply. So if I was going to go to Pakistan, so from Amarillo to Dallas, Dallas to New York, New York to Frankfurt, Frankfurt to Istanbul, and then finally to Pakistan. In these days, Amarillo straight to Dallas, Dallas non-stop flight to Dubai or Abu Dhabi or Qatar, and from there 2 hours to Pakistan. So the point I'm trying to make is technology has changed so much. It's also making us efficient. In fact, there is hopefully there is a new plan to have a direct flight from Dallas to Lahore, Pakistan. And that will be 16 to 17 hours. You do have a direct flight from Dallas to Sydney, nonstop.
It's amazing.
Almost every other day. But in these days, it's not working because of COVID. Right. Eventually, it will come back. But so these long-distance planes, they are also helping bridge our cultures big time. I mean, students, you can go anywhere and you will see American students, studying.
Yes.
And then, interestingly, there are so many expatriates. They live outside. There are like more than 20,000 Americans working in Saudi Arabia right now. Mm-hmm. And there are 1 million Pakistanis working in Saudi Arabia. Because if these expatriates are not there, Saudi economy will not work efficiently. There are so many Pakistanis in Dubai. This is the second largest minority in England, Pakistanis. And now you find them there second generation, third generation. Some of them are member of parliaments. So they have come a long way. So cultural intelligence. But now there is another issue. When they go back to Pakistan, they have adjustment problem. They have a different accent. They do not have the same understanding. So it is between. So I am kind of an hybrid. I'm a 50-50. So half I'm Texas and half in Pakistan. But these things you have to.
What's that experience like? Half Pakistan, half Texas.
Yeah.
What does that? How does that
It's
feel?
kind of when you go back, some of the things like we teach one concept, SRC, self-reference criterion, and that is my unconscious bias. And unconscious bias means if I go to Pakistan, I see people breaking the lines, they are not making lines or they are not waiting for their turn. I will certainly say, hey, man, what are you doing? So that sudden, it's unconscious. Another example I have, last year we were in having hike in Palodoro. So I saw a few people defacing a pretty big rock.
Yeah.
So this was a whole family. I mean, they have a couple of kids, 3 kids, and mom and dad. And then they were writing on a big rock. I mean, normally I don't behave like that, but I shouted at them, and I can't say in front of the camera what I shouted. My wife was pretty surprised. And I shouted, hey, stop. What are you doing? This is your property. This is your national heritage. So these are the issues. When we go over there, suddenly we think that it is not correct, because if you go to DMV over there, maybe they will ask you pay money, so you will get your license on the same day. But here you don't pay. Mm-hmm. You only pay whatever is required. So the point I'm trying to make is SRC is a big deal. And then there are so many other issues in cultural intelligence. And this is your metacognition. In cultural intelligence, you need to be aware of your awareness. I mean, you have to have some kind of feeling and empathy, and you have to be aware what exactly you are doing. So if you can have that, Nestle would love to hire you. I mean, IBM will love, because they do not want you to go to a country and then come back, because it's a very big loss. And that's why they spend a lot of time to educate people and give them training. A U.S. State Department is one of the most efficient and effective. They will not send you anywhere. If you join U.S. State Department, you have to, sit in a training, and you have to learn that country's language. Mm-hmm. So behind that door in Pakistan, when you go for visa, those officers speak Urdu. And the same thing, they speak maybe in India Hindi, they speak German in Germany, Italian. So this is one of the issues behind cultural intelligence, that you have to open up and you have to adapt and you have to adjust. We see many people from here or from other countries, going somewhere, and they make big scenes that what is that and what is, when you go to some countries, you need to have some patience. And patience is very important, and this is where cultural intelligence, but familiarity is very important. You need to read basic things. For example, if you attend a funeral in the United States or any Western country, you have to at least have a tie and jacket, so you are giving respect to the family. If you are attending somebody's funeral in Pakistan or India, do not wear a suit, because you have to go in a very simple way. And that is just a basic understanding of that culture. Like when somebody is going to church on Sunday, normally we make sure we don't mow our lawn, because it's a very respectful day. You don't have to have somebody insulted. And Muslims, they go to mosque on Friday. And during that time after lunch, we make sure that be respectful, because wherever you are, you need to change.
Well, I hear you say, networking is important.
Yes.
You've said patience is important.
Yes.
Being adaptable
Yes.
is important. And then common sense, 101,
Yes.
and self-awareness.
Absolutely. There is a very big Chinese food company called Wahaha. Mm-hmm. It's the name of the company, Wahaha. And they made a very big joint venture with Danone. Not our Danone. Our Danone is different. There is a Danone. There is a one Danone. It's pronounced Danone, and it's spelled different in France. And so they made a very big joint venture, and they found out Wahaha was kind of behind the scene. doing things which were not part of the contract and joint venture. So things broke down and it went for arbitration, although in the end, Wahaha, won. But Danone is still there, and maybe they will, they are still making money, but the contract ceased to exist because it went down. So the culture plays a very important role. Companies need to be prepared before they go somewhere. They have to do their homework. And homework in some countries, you have to have the right people connecting you. In China, it's called guanxi, network. You have to be connected to the right person. In Pakistan, you also have to have a middleman who can help you get to all the places, and the same in this country. And so these are the issues. One simple example is Microsoft paid 8 billion, 10 billion to acquire Skype. And then it's not really working. And then they acquired Nokia, same, from Finland. And they ended up selling it. It's not working. So what went wrong behind the scene? There are thousands of managers. They could not get along. And they did not have the same culture, American culture versus Finnish culture.
Do you think cultural intelligence, do you have to travel to develop it? Are they able to develop online?
Mostly we recommend. It's like you want to be a musician, you want to be a pianist, you read the theory, you can read music, but you don't have a piano. Think about it. So it means, so it's the same thing with cultural intelligence. We recommend that becoming aware and going somewhere and spending time. So when you are working with somebody, join a group. For example, if somebody is from France or Germany working in the US, they are recommended by companies to join local chamber or this, or play golf or go to barbecues. It is just a way to understand. And so these are the things which are all learned. And as I said before, culture is never inherited. If somebody grew up in this country, but their parents are from Pakistan, so their culture will be from here. And we are witnessing these issues that some of the Pakistanis or Indians, when they go back, sometimes they have a hard time. So most of the time, if they don't speak the language, then you lost it. The moment you lose your language and you stop speaking your language, you are going to mostly lose your culture. So languages are disappearing in many parts of the world. So once language disappears, your culture is finished. You don't have it. So this is one of the most important things we tell our colleagues and friends who are immigrants, that make sure you speak your language at home.
Well, we learn in this class that it is this never-ending process, right? We're constantly learning. We've never finished developing our cultural intelligence. Yeah. And the literature that we have in the class talks about you can develop your cultural intelligence by having an interaction and then being aware and understanding where that interaction went right. That's and right. Where it went wrong. That's right. And then adjusting and trying again. So the literature for our class suggests developing your cultural intelligence through trial, adjustment and error. What other suggestions would you have? As we have these students who they want to develop cultural intelligence, and how do we do this? What suggestions would you have?
I think they need to be patient. They also need to work on their metacognition. Mm-hmm. They need to be aware of their own awareness. Why we are doing things. Like in these days, when we came to the United States, it was a perfect melting pot. That's what we read in the book, in our history books, in our literature classroom. But now in these days, in many parts of this country, it's no longer a melting pot, it's a salad bowl. It has been discussed in some media. Mm-hmm. This is what we have been witnessing. And so once it becomes a salad bowl, I think we need to work on it. But the cultural assimilation is possible as long as people work on that. And respecting each other, and also trying to understand. I'll give you one more example. 15 plus years ago, Daimler Mercedes-Benz, they acquired Chrysler. And after 10 years, they ended up with a 20 billion or 15 billion loss, and they sold Chrysler. And then Chrysler was acquired by Fiat. So what was the deal? Main deal was that the cultures could not get along. And then there's a recent example. There's a company from Japan. It's called Softbank. It's a big company, and they paid $21 billion. They acquired Sprint, our number 3 telephone. And then just 2 years ago, they ended up selling it to T-Mobile, because that's a German company. It's owned by Deutsche Telephone, German. And so these things happen, and behind all those examples, and the one I mentioned, Wahaha and Danone. And so, but every country has something to offer, but we sometimes generalize too much, although some of the cultural examples are correct. For example, if you go to Japanese gardens, Japanese gardens are the most amazing in the world. And when you look at Spain, the first thing comes to your mind is bullfighting. And when you look at England, first thing comes to your mind is all the castles and all the other unique, things. And so I think we need to stay away from stereotypes, because countries have changed a lot. I mean, so many people, when somebody is posted to Tokyo, most probably they will be riding all day, metro. They may not have their car because they'll be outside maybe 50 miles. And so some people cannot adjust. Here they have their own truck or car, and they have a big house. And over there in the middle of Tokyo, downtown, you have a very small apartment. And daytime, it's your living room. Nighttime, it's your, bedroom. And so these are things. And then in Hong Kong, you'll be paying like a couple of $1,000 only rent. And that's a very big price you pay. In London, you will be paying. So getting used to that kind of environment. And then in some countries where you go, if you are in Germany, sometimes they speak German in front of you in your own company. So in this country, we don't do that, because it's kind of considered rude. But people have to get used to it. Many students come in, and most of them do not have any idea. They did not do the homework. And Zoom is not helping at all, because it is also backfiring. Like yesterday, I had a student from Peru, and I asked her, so are you a member of any organization? Are you doing anything? No, I'm just taking classes. I said, you are wasting your time, money. You need to interact. You need to learn. You need to read Wall Street Journal. You need to read what's going on in the world, Yeah. I mean, talk to the business people, go to the Chamber of Commerce, become a member. And these things take effort.
I like that. Those are and I think you're the only person I've seen say to develop our cultural intelligence, you've got to be active. You've got to be choosing it. You've got to be engaged. You got to be moving and trying things. That's a very powerful takeaway. I believe that to be the only time I've heard that.
Sometimes it's okay to be a walking billboard.
What does that look like?
Walking billboard is do something, be active.
Yeah.
I mean, have a sign on your front that I'm Syed Anwar, I'm teaching international business, I'm here to help. I mean, you have to volunteer.
You're welcoming in. Yeah.
I mean, we got involved in all kinds of conferences and in those days, and still WT supported us. I mean, they sent me to 14 countries. Think about it. And but as long as I had a paper, I mean, in my hand, they were ready to, and still, we still go to some countries. But there's one comment I have, and every country is different. And if something somewhere happened, you will always remember it. For example, me and my wife one time were leaving London, and at the departure, there was an immigration officer, and he saw our paper, and he said in Urdu, Khuda Hafiz, because it's the second largest minority in England, about close to 1 million Pakistani. So Khuda Hafiz means God bless, goodbye. And so I will always remember that, because we were so happy that he's speaking our language.
Yeah.
And then I was 2 years ago in Copenhagen attending a conference, Denmark, and at the arrival, immigration officer saw my passport, American passport I had, and he said, welcome, and I want you to know that you can also, with this passport, work in this country. I mean, what a wonderful way to welcome people and encourage them, come and work here, because there's a shortage of professionals over there. So they wanted me, consider working in Denmark, it's also good. So this is how you develop your cultural intelligence. But then there are some countries, don't want to mention the name, we were not treated very well.
Oh.
And so who do you blame? You blame the customs people, you blame the immigration people because they were not trained. So if you don't have a training, you don't know. It's like, go to a very nice supermarket and go to some really offbeat supermarket. You can easily see who was trained and who's not. And this is where we need to do cultural intelligence training, I mean, it makes a very big deal.
I think everyone would benefit from it. And it's interesting to think about if your role in an organization is greeting others, being sure those individuals have cultural intelligence.
I still remember, I have mentioned that in my other lecture interviews, September 11th, when the unfortunate thing happened, two towers came down. So Dr. Long, he was our president at that time. Within 15 minutes, I was the department head. He came to my office. He said, Anwar, are you okay? Everything is good, because he thought maybe I could have been beaten up on that day because it was a big crisis. And then within 30 minutes, I made the same comment to our, Amarillo College television long time ago. Within 30 or 40 minutes, one of my students called me, and he had taken my classes like 1987. And he asked me, are you doing okay today? And he said, listen, you may not know me. My name is this. I can come to your office and I can stand outside and I will protect you. Now, that shows you that the feeling, because he took my 2-3 classes. Yeah. So look at the feeling that, Mr. Anwar, I'm your friend today. Don't be scared. Mm-hmm. Because on that day, few people were killed in Arizona. And so I went home, I told my wife, and she said, don't be concerned, because we are not that, you'll be okay here. But Dr. Long was in my office in 15-20 minutes, because he was concerned about all the international faculty, not only me. And this is how cultural intelligence.
That you can feel, and I think we see that in our literature, and it talks about you can feel somebody's cultural intelligence, and that's what you were describing, this level of empathy. We can feel when somebody is truly caring about you or truly respecting, and it can't be hidden or masked. It's authentic. Well, this idea, this preparation, and really and truly, I've read a lot of literature, and I work on my cultural intelligence, and you're the first to say cultural intelligence is fueled by active and engagement. And I'm so thankful our students will have that to carry forward. And it's you are a treasure to have here at WT. And with your help, we really can help our MBA students. They can choose. Will I be global? Will I be international? Absolutely. And they can develop their cultural intelligence.
And many of our students are in big cities. They are already working, but they have one advantage. They already have the experience. But to move up, you have to have more training.
Well, and with your contribution, thank you.
Thank you again for inviting me.
Thank you for your time.
Yes.